Hey Rangers, today we're going to be talking about an anime that I've just recently watched, and I just can't say the name, but it's called Kinmoza. Yeah, I'm really bad. I'm sorry, manga. I can't pronounce this one. Before I jump into it, I put this Blu-ray in and I just saw a really weird advert for AnimeNetwork.com, and I was like, what is this? I've never seen anything like this. They're basically like a Crunchyroll type sort of network. Yeah, I was really confused, but it was like, you would watch anime! I was like, okay, cool, alright, thanks. I just want to skip this, thank you very much. So yeah, I don't know why that's at the very beginning of the anime, before you even get to hear the music or the menu select, etc, etc. For some strange reason, the anime, when you open it up, where you've got the like selection, has like the last thing is what the characters are wearing, and you kind of think, oh, maybe this is an anime about like fantasy and pirates and stuff, and you think, oh cool, but it's not. It's not. The premise of this anime is amazing. So what do you get on the disc? Well, you get one disc, you get 12 episodes, you also get special features, which is the basic norm. You get a close and opening clean slate thing with no text on it whatsoever. You get previews to other anime, and then disc credits, and that's it. That's all you get. And I'm kind of thinking, okay, maybe it's fine. The premise of this anime is the fact that you have two characters, one called Shinobu, but I'm going to call her Shin, and then you have Alice. Now, Alice is from England, and I thought that was really cool. So the premise is that Shin goes all the way to be a foreign exchange student, and she lives in England with Alice, and Alice is very scared. The family bring in Shin, and they're saying, hey, you can live here, and they start, the mum knows Japanese, and Alice doesn't know any Japanese, so the only thing that they can really say to each other is hello and konnichiwa. So you kind of think that the premise would be that it'd be Shin would learn about England, about the schools over here, etc, etc, and then obviously Alice goes over to Japan, and you'd think, okay, well these are going to be the different cultures, so what's different in England, what's going to be different in Japan? But you'd see it from the writer's side, because obviously not unless they spend a while over in England, but you kind of think, okay, but this is when the anime goes kind of good and kind of bad. Now, I wrote a lot for what happened in the 12 episodes, like my key favourite points, so I'm going to talk about those, and then I'm going to talk about the bad things that I didn't like within the anime. I really enjoyed when Alice was speaking English, and there's a point in one of the episodes where Alice turns around and her teacher asks her how to say something in English, and she just blurts out something, but rather than like English, it's broken English as well, so it's not like they've got someone in to voice those parts separately. It's broken, and she starts talking in a Cockney accent, and I'm like, I literally, if I had tea in my mouth, I'd be spitting it everywhere because it was so funny. And you see these little elements like kind of pop up all the time, and they're really enjoyable. I think there's also in like the kind of last episode, or episode 11, where Alice thinks that Shin just really wants someone that can speak English all the time, because Shin has this really weird thing for liking English or foreign exchange students with blonde hair, and Alice just keeps saying loads of stuff. And I think my favourite part was when she was like, my mother makes Yorkshire puddings, and I like it with a Sunday roast, but I like honey on mine. And I'm like, I love it. Whoever wrote this, whoever thought of putting a Sunday roast in an anime with Yorkshire puddings, genius. 100% absolute genius, and I love seeing these parts. Now, it was really interesting to see the culture differences. So when the girls ask Alice about certain things, they just say, oh yeah, well in England we do this. They talk about Christmas because there's a Christmas episode. Alice talks about what happens at Christmas, what she does compared to what the Japanese do, which is completely different, where apparently in the anime in Japan, they spend the day with the ones that they love, and that's it. Where over in England, it's like Alice went to mass, she went to church, and then she opened presents. It's little things like that. And Shin really likes Alice, and Alice likes Shin. And this is something that kind of grated on me a little bit much later on, which I'll kind of discuss. Now, kind of in episode 1, after everything happens, you see Alice has arrived in Japan, but she can speak Japanese ridiculously fluently, like it's second nature to her. And I have to admit, it's like, I kind of would like a time skip. I would have liked maybe Alice to turn up in episode 2, where she's like, yeah, hey, I'm here now, and it's like, maybe you could have had that knock at the door, and it's boom, she's standing there, and Shin just goes absolutely crazy. But those are the sort of things that I kind of like, but it's like, yeah, Alice comes in, she speaks Japanese really fluently, and this is when you meet other characters like Aya, Yoko, Sami. You know, these are all really cool characters. Now, I really liked Yoko. She seemed to be very level-headed in this. She seemed to be very unique and didn't really do as much as what the others did, as when they got jealous, and we'll get into that part. We'll get into that part in a bit. You're also introduced to one of Alice's friends that turns up randomly. Her name is Karen, and it's really weird because obviously you see in Japan you have like IS-chan or stuff like that, but this is when it's just Alice and Karen, and I actually like that. It felt a little bit of like a breath of fresh air on that one, which was kind of cool. Now, the one things that I didn't really like were the part of like, it seemed every single character got really jealous of everyone, where you had Alice obviously loves Shin, she's fallen in love, and when someone interacts, or if, say, Shin turns around and says, oh, you know, I really like this, Alice was like, but would you like it if I did that? I must do that for you. Oh my god, it's amazing. Oh, you know, please, do you still like me? And it's these sorts of insecurities that you see constantly all the way through that generally just irritated me. There's also other points near the end where Alice's teacher, she's kind of featured quite heavily. She starts talking to Shin, and Alice doesn't like it. She sees that she's getting like very friendly, but kind of like in a teacher-student way where she's helping it. But it's when like Alice is like looking around going stare, 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 and it's like, oh my god, they're not going to do anything. They're a teacher and student. Oh. It gets to the point where there'll be like the teacher will say, oh sorry, you've got a bit of like hair on that or thing, and Shin will say thank you or something, and it's like stare, stare, and it's like, oh my god, I'm getting annoyed, I'm getting annoyed. And then when the teacher confronts Alice and says, look, do you like me? You know, you seem very off. She's like, no, I like you, but if you could stop being friendly with Shin, it'll be absolutely fine. And I'm like, oh, really? Ugh. Some of the other characters, they do show this as well, but not as much as Alice. And even when, like, Shin talks to Karen or says, I really like your hair, it's like, boom, mic drop. Alice jumps in and, oh. When I thought about this, I thought the whole idea of the anime would be amazing, to the point where it would be differences from different cultures, different school life. I thought this would be really cool to do. But what I got was something that I wasn't into, and I have to admit, there are points in episodes where I was just like, I could turn this off and I'd be like, I do not care anymore. I'm just really bored of this. I'm really bored of how the characters are interacting, and it even gets to the point where I think that when they were writing it, they didn't have full episodes to make the full 12, and it jumps around a lot. So you get like the main part of the story to the very first part, and then it will jump to like what you get is like a credits in anime, and then afterwards you'd get like a kind of little mini thing where a character would interact for about say 10 seconds, and it jumped to the last part of the anime, of that episode, should I say, and it just felt very strange. And it gets to the end where it just jumps around a lot. It's like, here's a little bit of a story, there's like 5 different little mini things, then let's jump to this one afterwards, and I just generally couldn't get into it. And again, as I said, I think even when I watched up to episode 8, I just thought, I want to finish this, I don't care about the ending, but I wanted to finish it because I wanted to review it properly rather than say, yeah, I only watched episode 3 and I couldn't stand it. One episode that I think stood out, and I really wish the entire anime was, I think it's episode 12, which is when they're trying to tell a story, and they are pirates, and it's a musical. Oh my god, it is the best one. I'm kind of glad I stuck out to that episode, because that's what really made it for me. That's one thing that I really enjoyed, and I thought, this is cool. This is what I wished it was. So if it was all about pirates and princesses and stuff, I think I'd be more on board than generic characters going like, if you talk to someone else, then you don't like me. You know, I love you, but you know, I'm going to freak out on you, etc., etc. I think that to me would just ruin it. But I really wish this one episode was like the best one. I really wish that this whole anime was just around that, because that was cool. That's what it should be. My final thoughts on this one is, if you're really into it in this sort of genre of anime, cool, go for it. But to me, it's something that I wouldn't want to watch again. I wouldn't want to watch season 2, not unless it really changed. And there were some things I would change a lot. Like the last 2 episodes. Episode 11 is all about Christmas and how like Alice wants to stay in Japan for another year. I kind of would have had that one at the very end and had the pirate one as episode 11, because then you could have followed into season 2, and it just feels like that was a kind of a missed opportunity. I couldn't get into this anime a lot, and I did just want to turn it off and just end it. But again, if you're into this sort of genre, if you like the sort of like the friends getting jealous on certain things, it's all about school cute life, then this is perfect for you. But for me, I'm not a big fan, and yeah. So that's kind of my quick review of the whole thing, and yeah, I could see where they were going, and I could really get behind if it was the different cultures. That would have been perfect, but it just didn't feel that, and I think that would have been a missed opportunity. I will say though, when they did like England's backgrounds and stuff with the like their house as well as like the post office, they got the post office right. Those felt like I was watching a show like in England where we look around people's houses. You know, it was drawn perfectly. I could imagine that actually being a cottage or a bungalow that people would like obviously live in. But like I can imagine the writers and stuff would go there or look at loads of pictures and actually experience it, because it did feel cozy. It felt amazing, and I kind of liked that to some degree. But for the rest of it, no, I just couldn't get behind it. So Rangers, what do you think about this anime? Have you seen it? What do you think? Would you get it? Let me know down below in the comments, and if you've liked this video, like, favorite, comment and subscribe. Check out all the other videos on the channel, and as always Rangers, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in a bit.